with the bike. Cam really didn't get many laps. Either one of them didn't get very many laps on the first day, having some mechanicals, and then they went out this morning and looks like they had things sorted out a little bit better. They definitely don't look like doesn't look like things are perfect. When you look at the grid here, you don't usually see Cam in fifth or Jake Gagne down on the second row. So these guys are, pretty much spotted everyone a full day of practice and qualifying and getting used to this new pavement. I mean, the bikes are totally different, so a little bit more of adjustment and not a lot of time for them with all the issues they had yesterday.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the coin, Cameron Beaubier blowing the track record out on Friday, and Josh Herron coming out and putting in a stunning lap to take the pole here. So some very impressive stuff unfolding. And as we close in on the start of this one, we've got a brief opening ceremony. And with that, it is my pleasure to send it down to the track to Lorette Nickel standing by at the start-finish line.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are so grateful that you're joining us here at the world-famous Road America in lovely Elkhart Lake. And in celebrating the great United States, please rise, remove your hats for our national anthem, sung by Jonathan Schweiger.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if that name sounded familiar, Jonathan Schweiger, he just ran in the Supersport race for Team Schwags and hustled over for an incredible rendition of our national anthem. And with that, it is time to head over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore. It's time for Medallia Superbikes at Road America. Gentlemen, it's all yours.
A fresh, billiard-smooth racetrack, 200-mile-per-hour motorcycles, and two massive straightaways mean one thing: hectic, high-speed racing. It's BMW versus Ducati versus Suzuki versus the champs, Yamaha. And it's anyone's guess who will come out on top. It's time for Superbikes at Road A right now. It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round, MotoAmerica Superbikes at Road America from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Our third round of 9 for 2023 at the famed Road America circuit, freshly paved, as we set the stage for Medallia Superbike race number 1. And oh boy, it is going to be a fast one as thousands of fans have arrived at Road America to see this race. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast booth. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time world champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, we knew that this racetrack was going to be awesome when we got here. right? It's smooth, it's fast, but there's some unexpected stuff that's been happening.
Yeah, well, 3 to 4 weeks ago, right after Barber, some teams came up here and tested, but it rained all morning. They didn't get on track till 1. The temperatures were a lot colder. It wasn't really a true testament to what the track was actually going to be. Tires were tearing a little bit and things like that. Nobody really knew exactly how good this track was going to be until we got here this week. We've been greeted with perfect weather. Track is fast. It's incredible. Road America is the best place we got.
If you're just joining us after our first 4 races, why don't we take a look at the championship standings and give you an idea who's leading. It's the #1 plate, Jake Gagne. He's got 95 points, 4 podiums. Cameron Beaubier, who's back in action if you're just joining us for the first time this season, back in the U.S., is in 2nd place. You have Skoltz, Herron, and Richie Escalante in the mix as well. So we have a blend of motorcycles, manufacturers that are in the tops, Jason. But, you know, you mentioned the test, and the biggest thing here is that when we arrived here, the question always is, what is the racetrack going to do to tires, the surface itself, and what are the things that you've been hearing?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they tested here, they were really nervous about coming back here because tires weren't lasting in the conditions that they were in. And we've come here, and it's been absolutely perfect. We've heard nothing but the track's got amazing grip, and the tires are holding, and that makes it great for our job, being able to call these races because we don't have to worry about those 2 things anymore.
And the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa, had a chance to catch up with Dunlop to talk about what's going on with tires and the new Road America.
I'm here with Tony Romo from Dunlop. Tony, with the new track surface, what is it that Dunlop has to do to prepare for something like this?
Well, I mean, everybody wants a new track surface, right? I mean, it gets rid of all the bumps and any imperfections of the track, but it really poses unique challenges for us here on the tire side. Typically, it's going to be more abrasive, a lot of sharp edges, but we've been at some tracks where the repave just polishes tires. So it's very difficult, but the best thing you can do is come test. So luckily we were able to get 1 day here at the beginning of this month. Some Superbike team came, and so did some baggers, and that worked out really, really well for us. So I know some people were surprised when we brought some of our harder options. It was very abrasive, and it was just wearing through the tires. So I know when some people saw the allocation, they said, no, I've never been on that tire, but it was the right choice, and both specs are working out really well.
Thanks so much for the insight, Tony.
That's part of the planning that Dunlop has to go through as a spec tire series. But Jason, the thing is, you came here Monday, Tuesday of this week and got to ride this racetrack.
Yeah, Czars had a track day up here, and I was lucky enough to be able to go out and do some laps. And it's been some years since I've obviously turned some laps at this place, but you can see, Greg, how good the pavement was. And I don't get a chance to just go out and ride very much anymore. And I had a blast. It was like 2 perfect days. You can see how good the weather was. It's exactly what we've been greeted with here this week. But the amazing part is I just couldn't even get a bike to spin. Now, some of that could be my older age here, I understand.
Yeah,
but the track is just so good that for 2 days I ran the same set of tires, and for 2 days I had absolutely perfect grip. And I thought, man, if it's like this all weekend, every class is going to have new lap records and a lot of grip to do it with.
Lucky guy. All right, let's get down to the grid where Hannah's live right now. Hey, Hannah, how are things down there?
Josh Herron laid down an absolutely blistering fast lap for the pole position. A track lap record's nice, but starting from the front of the grid is probably even nicer for Josh. But Josh, what is it going to take to do consistently fast lap times on a race tire?
We should be good. We got a lot of time earlier in the weekend on race tires. Was able to do my fast lap of the session Friday morning with 14 laps on tires, so that tells us good stuff. We went to a different compound today and felt a lot better on it, and it'll give us a little bit better tire life. So should be good. Just gotta try to pull this one out. It's all on me now, and yeah, I like the view I got right now. I'm hoping to have the same view in 12 laps from now. Ducati's feeling really good. It's really fast, and hopefully we got what it takes to be there at the end and get a win this year.
Best of luck, Josh. Thanks.
So for Josh Herron, you saw that he broke Cameron Beaubier's track record from the day before. But Jay, a freshly paved, billiard table smooth Road America at 4 miles. This place is up and down, and it is awesome.
Yeah, 4 miles and 2 minutes and 9 seconds. A fast lap by
Wow.
Josh Herron. They're going to be ripping down to turn 1, up over a rise into turn 3, down that long back straightaway, then up the hill into turn 6, a blind left-hand corner, into fast turn 7. That's one of the places that's really good. Down into 8, carousel, big long right-hander, hard on the tires normally, but not so much anymore. Down to Canada corner in turn 12, back up into another blind turn 13. And then really you got to make a decision what you want to do out of 14. Do you pass the guy or do you draft him to the line?
That is going to be the question. All right, we are 4 minutes away from a race start as the #1 plate from the second row, trying to make up for a weekend where he's been struggling. Can he get it done?
Oh, that shot right there, the run down into turn 1 here at Road America. And that's where the bikes are going to be heading. And from a unusually deep place on the grid is the #1 at Jake Gagne. Man, have they been fighting through issues.
I was just thinking about that right before you said it, that Jake has not seen this view from the start in a very long time. But for them, they had some issues all weekend. But most importantly, it looks like they have all that settled and sorted out before the weekend. So hopefully, you know, they have all those problems away. And I mean, it's going to be a tough race for them, obviously, because they've spotted everybody a day, almost a day and a half, really. And to go out there and with the new pavement changes everything, the speed. You know, we've heard other riders talk about with it being so smooth, it's hard to figure out where the limit is. They can't really, they don't have that feeling. They love it, but they just don't really know exactly where the limit is. So for these guys not having very much track time, I think for them today would be just, you know, if they can get on the podium would be great. But just get some points today and figure it out, and then tomorrow try to get more into the fight. But these guys are, you know, Jake Gagne and Cam are next level riders, and they're superstars. So if anybody could pull it out, it would be those two guys.
Well, there's a look at the 45 of Cam Peterson, and you know, more than ever for those two riders, the Dunlop guys have been their best friends here, trying to understand it. But also for Cam Peterson, he's dealing with a wrist injury, and he felt it was okay to go out and run in qualifying, and but he hasn't run hard for a full race distance here, so he's going to be dealing with that. You know, riders go through injury all the time, not a problem, but that's still something that's got to be weighing on his mind.
It has to be, and for him, luckily, this track isn't that physical. You know, compared to like a Barber or Pittsburgh, so that's going to help a little bit. But it is his right hand, so regardless, it's not going to be easy for him. But like I said, luckily this track is pretty not easy, but compared to a lot of the others, it's a little less physical.
Well, we'll see what he can do there. And obviously another story is the 24 of Tony Elias has actually been showing some of the best turns of speed we have seen from him. So maybe he's starting to get a hold of it. And there's the 54 of Richie Escalante, who's been fast too. It's time for Superbikes here at Road America.
Medallia Superbike coverage is brought to you by Medallia, the pioneer in customer and employee experience. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Geico Motorcycle. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be.
Vince and Teresa Crampton got married on the beach in Elkhart Lake last night. A surprise engagement and wedding. Pretty incredible. I was down there right as that was wrapping up. But here we go, Jason. Medallia Superbike starting grid. Herron, new lap record, 209.11.
Then we got Cameron Beaubier and PJ Jacobsen, Skoltz, Peterson, and Gagne fill out row 2 on all the Yamahas there. Escalante, Tony Elias, Corey Alexander, David Anthony, Hayden Gillum, and Ashton Yates. Benjamin Smith, Max Flinders, who I just saw pull in the pit lane, Greg. Danilo Lewis, Nolan Lampkin, Giannato, and De Silva. A little further back, we got Zach Schumacher, Butler, and Segura. We'll get into some of the stories of some of the trials and tribulations of this guy here this weekend for Gagne and Cam Peterson. We'll get into some of that, why they're maybe on the second row, and we'll see if they're able to go forward and go with this 2 BMWs and a Ducati.
12-lap schedule, Medallia Superbike Race 1, a quick start, and off we go. And it looks like the number 6 of Cameron Beaubier got a good launch. How about Jake Gagne in the number 1 as well? And Herron trying to find some room around the outside. So it'll be Beaubier, Herron, and Gagne with a great launch. There's Skoltz right there, pushed a little bit wide. It looked like it was Tony Elias, perhaps. Matthew Skoltz in the mix. PJ Jacobsen on the 99, just ahead of the 45. And oh, Beaubier with a big mistake.
That's a big error for Cam Beaubier there. As you can see, Tony Elias even drives up behind him, as well as David Anthony. So he's going to be coming from a long way back. But also, PJ Jacobsen didn't get off the line very well, but he should be able to make some time up down this straightaway. As you see the 99 wiggle his way into third, past Skoltz. Herrin leading, Gagne second. It's a good spot for Gagne to be after what they've gone through the last, say what, Greg, 40 hours?
Yeah, it's been absolutely rough for the Fresh and Lean Progressive Yamaha team. They have had a flurry of technical issues that saw those bikes sidelined for the entire second session yesterday, qualifier number 1. And Jay, we talked about it before. Had this been the old surface, it would have been really no dramas for the Fresh and Lean Progressive Yamaha. But coming here to Road America with this brand new surface, it's like tuning a motorcycle to a brand new racetrack.
Yeah, and they haven't really got enough laps to really get their feet planted at this place yet, and you can see that. Let's see what happens here. Herrin goes down the inside of Beaubier, and it looks like, I mean, there was enough room there, but Cam just didn't feel confident maybe turning the bike in, and just ends up running him wide. But you watch, that number 6 bike's not done. You're going to be seeing some pretty fast laps from him, I'm sure, as Herrin is starting to do what he would like to be able to do here, and that is check out at the front. I also feel, though, that the 99 will have something to say about this as well. We'll see if PJ's able to draft past the Yamaha of Gagne when they come up this front straightaway. Perfect first lap for Herrin at the moment, though.
Unbelievable from the Warhorse HSBK Racing Panigale V4R pilot Josh Herrin. Coming onto the front straightaway they go. So far in the trap speeds, the Yamahas haven't been quite up to snuff with some of the other bikes. How about the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki, the 54 machine? That's Richie Escalante. The GSXR 1000. Whoa, and look at how deep Schultz is going on the brakes into turn number 1.
Gets it out there wide, though, Greg. You called it. He got in there way too deep, did Matthew, and that's going to allow Escalante to sneak back through, and also it opens the door for Beaubier. What Beaubier needs right now are easy passes. He does not need to be held up anywhere. Cam's going to have his head down. Expect this next lap to be one big flying lap. He will try to draw up to the back of Escalante, as you see Cam Peterson riding injured here at Road America after a testing incident on the Monday after at Barber. So Cam on the 45 riding a little bit banged up, but for Beaubier, he wants to try to run clean laps, and he wants to get by people without getting held up too much.
Looks like PJ Jacobson has gotten around Gagne.
Might have happened down that front straightaway. Hannah?
Well, what you mentioned about Cam Peterson and his wrist, he said, you know, he's ridden through worse. He can definitely manage 12 laps, no problem. He just kind of wants to move on from the wrist injury, you know, and focus on his riding. When I talked to both Jake and Cam, they said they're kind of in the same boat. They need more seat time because they both only got one session this weekend, and it was this morning. So they're going to do their best today and focus on learning as much as possible, gathering as much data as they can for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, both riders telling me, Jason, I'm sure you as well, priority number 1 in this race is to finish the race.
Yeah, absolutely. They got to try to get the points. The championship's not going to be won today, is it? And you got to be able to put those points on the board. So Gagne and Peterson are going to fight for every point they can. I'm a little worried about Matthew right now. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with him. We've seen him run wide in 1, run wide in turn 8. It almost looks like he's got problems braking or slowing the bike down, but we won't speculate too much on that. Just what you've seen here in this last sort of lap, there's some mistakes. And Beaubier is now drawn up onto the back of Escalante. This is the battle for 4th. The guys up front right now, Herrin, goes 14.3 from a standing start.
Unbelievable.
That is so fast. So now we're going to see this BMW power. He should be able to draft past Escalante as they come up the hill. You can see here from our Lucas Oil helicopter the speed that BMW has, Greg.
But still, looking better is the GSXR 1000. And speaking with Chris Ulrich from the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team, over the last couple of weeks, Jay, they've worked with their exhaust sponsor M4 to create some new exhaust systems that have allowed for more horsepower. I'm not going to reveal the number, but I'm going to tell you it's a significant number considering the age of the GSXR 1000, and it is working for the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team. Against these brand new BMWs, Jay, we know from Road Atlanta that Cameron Beaubier and PJ Jacobson were going to be extremely fast. Jacobson goes 2:10.3 to set the fastest lap of the race. Early on, there's plenty of laps, 10 laps to go, but right now the most impressive rider is that lap 1 frantic pace of Josh Herrin. But here comes the 99.
Man, and if you're standing over where that bike is right now in turn 7, all those fans on the hill to the right of our shot, that bike sounds so good rolling through the hills. It was, you see, Nolan Lampkin is tipped off. He's up and walking and okay. Frustrating weekend for Nolan so far. He's had some bike issues and things, so too bad to see that. Now, back to the front here. This Ducati, the way it rolls around here, Greg, it sounds unlike anything else. Even you mentioned it to me this morning about how good it sounds, and he's doing a good job. You can see also back there, Beaubier now drawing up to the back of Gagne as they roll through this little chicane, and again, he's going to want to try to make as quick work of Gagne as he can. Now, for the Tyler's boys here on these bikes, this is an opportunity for them to start sinking their teeth into getting some of those points back. 21 points back right now is Beaubier. He would love to take a full 25 points here and put Gagne in fourth if he can.
I mean, you're looking at just raw riding talent from Jake Gagne, considering they gave an entire day away of setup, and that was yesterday. Basically, you know, for this fresh and lean progressive Yamaha team. And what you're seeing from Gagne, he is just digging deep right now. But you just feel at this moment with more track time, better setup, and a motorcycle of the BMW Tytler's bike of Cameron Beaubier. Look at the power of that BMW. Not even really in the draft, Jay, just getting around. Great shots, great vantage point from Lucas Oil Helicopter.
And we've been seeing that all day, all weekend rather, that the BMW and the Ducati definitely have pace over the Yamahas that we're used to seeing at front. Now, it's Cameron Beaubier. It goes 2:09.8 to, wow. I believe that's a new race lap record as well. Is that almost a second as far as race lap records go?
2:09.9 was the race record by Gagne in 2021, so he beats it by over a second. 2:09.8 from Cameron Beaubier, who's trying to make up all this time.
And he's already 3/10 up on the Herrin in this first split. Now, PJ's done a good job, and you know what's going to end up happening. These two are going to go back and forth a little bit. Jacobson's going to want to lead this race at some point. So he's doing the hard work, catching up at a 2:10.1 that last time through for PJ Jacobson. So he's done the job of getting up onto the back of the Ducati, and you can see the other Tytler's BMW trying to come forward too. What do you got on cam for us, Hannah?
Something I heard from a lot of the teams throughout the day today was engine braking adjustments, and Cameron Beaubier is no exception to that. They did make an engine braking adjustment to help the rear in-corner entry, and they did make a bit of a step backward this morning, but Cameron Beaubier said it's all good. It's all a bit of a learning experience. He is very focused on his racecraft, of course, but he is missing his wife and his newborn baby son at home. I'm sure they're watching right now, so, you know, he's got that on his mind as well, but when Cam's on the track, you know that's his main focus, so congratulations to Cam and Shelby.
Massive life changes for Cameron Beaubier. But Jason, let's talk about engine braking.
Well, they have the ability now, Greg. Obviously, they can make it to where when you roll the throttle off and you go back through the gears, how much do you want that engine to help support the braking as well as the brakes themselves? And I think that for some of these riders, it really varies. Some of them like to have quite a bit of engine brakes. Some of them like to roll in. So anybody that's familiar with old school two-strokes or things like that virtually had no engine brake. Some guys will like to roll into corners that way, and some guys will like to have a little bit more. This is going to be a very fast lap from Cam Beaubier coming up right now, though.
Leading the way is the number 2 of Josh Herrin. PJ goes at a 2:09.3 from Beaubier. He is really on the gas. The question is how the tire's going to hold up. He's having to use a lot of rubber, and everybody is shrugging their shoulders because we've never been in this situation. Here's Brody Charles Beaubier, born May 25th. Now something that Cameron Beaubier is racing for as well, Jay. He's got to pay for some diapers.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's on his way to do that now. Now he's done the hard work of getting onto the back of the 2 leaders coming from as far back. And you mentioned the tires. You know, this will be a place now where Cam can be a little bit more patient now. He knows his teammate is going to want to take a shot at Herrin as well. Now, if Beaubier feels incredible or whatever kind of long runs they may have done in practice to check the tire wear of this of the tires themselves, we got 8 laps to go, 7.5 laps to go now. So it is really just a question of how confident Cam is in having not worn that tire out.
A 2:09.396 with a Dunlop qualifying tire on. Here at this racetrack, it was the R3 compound. He did a 2:09.387. So a 9.6 to an 8.7. You can tell that Cameron Beaubier is desperate to lead this race.
And look at PJ, he's got some pace down through the carousel there. You could really see him almost have to check up a little bit behind Josh. So Herrin's going to come by now. I think these 3 riders all felt this was going to kind of be what you would see. these three kind of thought that they could break away. The trap speeds are fast. They're all fast. You can look back a little further. Escalante's not done with Gagne yet either on that M4 bike. So those two can still engage. This is a big points haul for the riders ahead. For Herrin being 40-plus points back, I believe you said at the start, if he really needs this win. Same for PJ. He had a bad race 1 in Atlanta. And for Beaubier, he wants to not let that championship get too far away with Gagne. But Gagne obviously going to the Ridge next, a track that those guys have a lot of information on that Tytler's does not necessarily.
Lucas Oil helicopter shot showing some very fast motorcycles. And the BMW's got strong legs, but look at the power of that Ducati. I don't know what was going on there with PJ there for a moment.
Yeah, that was interesting because Cameron came from a long way back to outbrake him down into turn 1, and now it's going to be Beaubier, and we'll see what the Ducati and the BMW have for each other as they come out of turn 3. It looks like, honestly, it looks like Beaubier can roll up on these guys pretty heavily going into the corners. So let's see if Beaubier decides to take a shot at Herrin as they go down this back straightaway. You see Herrin moving over to the left a little bit. Beaubier is going to make his way through on that left-hand side anyways.
Draft and pass maneuver by the BMW, Cameron Beaubier, and he'll take over the lead. So after that turn 3 incident on the first lap, it's Cameron Beaubier who starts to set sail, and now Josh Herrin's got to go to school on Beaubier and see where the strengths and weaknesses are of the BMW pilot. Boy, Jason, I mean, how many people would have said after Cameron Beaubier announced and signed with Tytler's team, the BMW M1000RR, that we'd be in this position right now? Same thing with Josh Herrin, right, Hannah?
It is. You know, he mentioned at the start of the race that he did 14 laps on one set of tires, so he's really feeling really comfortable at the end of the race. We know he's always strong at the end of the race, but when I talked to him just before they set off for this race, he said he wants to stay with this front group and not really get into any braking battles, but because these laps are so long that he feels he'll have time in the middle of the race to really assess a strategy. And when being out front, it's kind of hard to see what everyone else around you is doing. So now that Beaubier's out front, he can really take a look, take his time, be patient, and think through this so that he can have that strong finish that we've seen him have.
And I think also, Jason, he's got to just keep him right there.
Yeah.
You know, Herrin has to keep Beaubier right there if he's going to strategize, because, again, Herrin has no idea how well the tires are going to hold up with Beaubier's charge.
Yep.
We don't have rearview mirrors on these Medallia Superbikes, so other than pitboard signals that Herrin was getting, he doesn't really know what was going on behind him. So this could be great right now for Cameron Beaubier, but in a matter of 1 or 2 corners, it could all of a sudden start to feel a little bit like he's on the ragged edge, or this track has been so amazingly prepped after 5 years of lining up a repave here at Road America that these tires can make it at this pace all the way to the end, and Beaubier could just set sail and get another victory under his belt.
Yeah, but it looked like that was what was happening there when they exited turn 8 and through the carousel, and Herrin did a nice job of breaking down into the chicane and even down into Canada corner to try to kind of have that little gap that Beaubier built up. I think that the danger part is this next lap for Herrin and for PJ. Once they get through turn 5, Beaubier seems pretty good all the way down into the carousel, but Herrin really impressed me at Barber. He had a bike there that wasn't quite good enough for him to be able to toss the thing around and get into corners the way he wanted to get into them, but he was braking so tremendously late to keep people behind him. And again, here he looks a lot more flowing, does the number 2 of Herrin, and this is the spot now. When they came down that straightaway, it didn't look like the BMW was just yarding that Ducati. And as you see, Gagne looks like he is out. Gagne pulling off the track, smoke coming off the bike. So a frustrating weekend for the attack team right now, as Escalante now is going to be jumped up into 4th.
Unfortunately, the fresh and lean progressive Yamaha rider Jake Gagne, that number 1 plate, with his championship points lead in pretty much the worst situation he can imagine. Wow. His championship rival, Cameron Beaubier, is the one leading this. So if Beaubier is able to win this race with Gagne out of it, we're going to see a lead change in this championship, because there was 21 points between Jake Gagne and Cameron Beaubier. That means that Beaubier, if he can win and score a maximum of 25, would lead this championship by 4 points after Medallia Superbike race number 1 here at Road America.
And I think the more telling point of that is we have another race obviously tomorrow, and Gagne wasn't quite obviously on pace. 2:11 flat for Gagne this race with minimal laps he's done, but 2:09.3 for this guy. So when was the last time you could say that somebody was almost 2 seconds quicker than Gagne going into tomorrow's race? this guy could have his way again tomorrow. And Gagne looked at like best today was going to be 4th. So that is definitely a tough blow for him and his championship. This guy, 209.8 compared to the 210.5 by the 2 guys behind him. A little further back, Escalante's in the 11s. Cam Peterson still 5th. Schultz 6th. Tony Elias in 7th at the moment.
I remember a long time ago, Jason, yesterday, when a motorcycle racer for the first time here at Road America got into the 209s and how impressed we were.
Yeah.
Now Cameron Beaubier is living in the 209s, leading the way. Just incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what he has been able to do. And also, you know, we've talked about Herrin, we've talked about Beaubier. Tremendous job here from PJ Jacobsen as well. You know, he wants to do everything he can to try to make this a Tytler's 1-2, and he's been coming forward. What do you have on PJ, Hannah?
Yeah, PJ coming out and being in the front group right away early on this weekend has certainly been confidence building for him, and he said he was really looking forward to a dry race and being in the mix at the front. When I talked to his crew chief, Scott Jensen, he said most of the obstacles they're facing setup-wise is due to a changing track. So as rubber continues to get laid down, the grip level is changing. That R8 rear tire, they don't normally use, but it's a more durable tire, and it really is affected by the changing track, so that's been a struggle. But PJ did go more than race distance on one set of tires, and he said they held up really well, very little change in lap time, so he's in it to the end as well.
Yeah, PJ was in deep there, and you can see it just was kind of got it by Herrin, and Herrin wasn't able to tip that bike in. PJ gives him almost like a little wave. Did I see a little wave there?
I think I did, yeah.
A little wave of maybe apologies, but you know the thing is PJ was down the inside. Herrin is going to gnaw back into that now. I thought that was nice work for Josh getting through that little chicane. Having the runoff and the ability to do that is also good. You see PJ's probably about 4, 5, 6 feet away. He starts tipping it in, gets it backed in, and Herrin had nowhere to go. And you can see even PJ's just a little bit wide in the chicane. Racing incident, not a big deal. Herrin will try to dig back in and catch up to the 99.
And if you're wondering about these BMW M1000 RRs, of course people think they're identical motorcycles between the Tytler Cycle Racing teammates of Cameron Beaubier and the 99 of PJ Jacobsen. And mechanically, for the most part, they are, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the new rules for 2023 here in the Medallia Superbike MotoAmerica class was the ability for each rider to choose the gearbox ratios that they want. So obviously you have 1 through 6 gears, and you can change and you can decide, at the beginning of the year, what ratios that you want. And it is the biggest distinction between Beaubier and Jacobsen. They did not pick the same gear ratios. So there's just subtle differences in the setup of the motorcycle because of that.
Yeah, you can hear it when you're out there. You can literally hear it when you're out there, the different gear patterns that both riders have and the differences there. Now, I was a little bit more concerned about Josh Herrin coming out of turn 3, looking over the front right side of his bike. Not sure if maybe he's got something going on with the front of that motorcycle as far as being able to turn it or tip it in. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Herrin did have a long look over the front right side of his bike after he came through turn 3. And, you know, he's going to try not to let PJ get too far away, but we'll be watching the splits to see where he might be losing some of that time now.
Yeah, 3.5 laps to go in Medallia Superbike race number 1 with Cameron Beaubier, 3.1 seconds out. And we have another bike that didn't make it. It's the 18 of Zachary Butler. So unfortunately,
that's
for the Red Line Moto
Yamaha
R1, yeah. So obviously corner workers are going to take a look at that and make sure that there's nothing on the track. And it is red flag incident. So the red flag is out. We'll wait to see the official word, but Jay, take a look.
It's coming out of the last corner, I think. I think it's coming out of the last turn. Yeah, it is, and it blows up down the front straightaway. And good for Zach getting that bike over to the right-hand side as quickly as he can. You can see all the stuff coming out of that motor right there. That is a ton of fluid coming out the bottom of that bike.
That is an unfortunate incident. That is a grenaded motor, and there is, of course, the body work is designed to catch a lot of that oil, but there has to be some ventilation, and it was just a total engine failure, and you can see that the oil.
Look at the tire.
Yeah.
Look at the rear tire. So I'm glad that happened there rather than the end of that straightaway for Zach, because that wouldn't have been so good at the end of the straightaway for sure. So red flag, about 4 to go, so we'll see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and of course, we're in communication with the AMA FIM North America and MotoAmerica, who are going to take a look and determine what is going to happen from this point forward. And we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll get it all sorted out for you. Medallia Superbike race number 1 under red flag conditions here at Road America.
Wow, how unfortunate for the number 18 of Zach Butler. And literally had that motor grenade coming up the front straight. And Greg and Jason were talking about you have to have stuff ventilate somewhere. Well, it ventilated. And just great reaction by him. Minute it happened, and I'm sure he started to feel immediately that the back tire was running over his own fluid, getting really slick, and just eased it off track. So great reaction there, but nonetheless, you don't mess with fluid on the track, especially oil here. And as we're watching him come out here, watch this. Boom.
As soon as he shifted, you see that?
Yeah.
And he did the right thing, knowing he had a problem, got right off the racing line, and you see all that fluid there. If somebody was to hit that on the straightaway, even though they're straight up and down, it would probably, be hard to not crash through there. I mean, it's like hitting ice.
Yeah, that was, and I mean, he had a lot of fluid on his rear tires, and it was just a massive save by him. And we have just been informed that the FIM AMA North America rule in concert with MotoAmerica is that if a race has gone to 2/3 distance or exceeded that and the red flag comes out, it can be called official, and it has. As we have completed 8 laps here of this one, and it was a 12-lap race, so it is just past the 2/3 mark, and it has been called officially. So Cameron Beaubier and his teammate P.J. Jacobson put up a 1-2 sweep in the what would be the home track, essentially, of Tytler Cycle Racing and the BMWs. Josh Herrin completes the podium. Great ride for him on the Ducati. Richie Escalante, again impressing on the Suzuki. And Cameron Peterson, with all the problems, is going to end up with a 5th. That's pretty remarkable in its own right. So with that, we're going to send it back over to Greg White. Well, we're going to take a hold here for just a second. And let's talk a little bit once again about the 24 of Tony Elias. It's 7th place, yes, aided by some issues, but this is the time we've started to see some real pace from him.
Yeah, this is actually the first race that we've seen in the picture of him with the other guys, so definitely looking like they're starting to make some big gains. And, now you see him in the picture and just slowly getting there. So, that's great to see with Tony. And when you look at their best laps, his best is a 2-minute 11.6, and then you go up and Matt is like 11.5. The gap has been a lot bigger at the other races, so he's definitely starting to kind of get the groove and figuring things out.
Yeah, and also he set his fastest lap on the last lap of this one, so he's starting to get it here. And as we take a look at Cameron Beaubier, your winner, let's get back over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore.
Welcome back to Road America here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We're under red flag conditions, and this race has been called. And here's the rule: 2/3 of the race distance, which is 8 laps, which we completed. The leader completed 8 laps. So the race is complete, and everybody who, under red flag conditions, who had completed 75% of the laps, you can see it on the left part of your screen. But at the end of the day, it's Cameron Beaubier who takes his 56th MotoAmerica Medallia Superbike win of his career. P.J. Jacobson will be in 2nd place, as Josh Herrin will be in 3rd, with Richie Escalante in 4th. So here's a look at the race pace for Cameron Beaubier, a 2:09.396 on lap number 4. And for Cameron Beaubier, a new race lap record. Absolutely destroyed the old 2:10.9 that Jake Gagne set in 2021, and he did it having to chase everyone down. And Jay, what an impressive, look how many 209s Beaubier had.
Well, I think he did that on a race tire, and 209.1 was what our pole position was this morning. So, it's amazing what a little adrenaline, a little fire will get for you. And Cam did a really nice job of closing that gap back down. You heard a little bit of Herrin talking about it, just didn't feel like he had the grip on the right side there for himself. So, that'll be something that I'm sure he'll tell us the story here in a minute, but that's what I could hear. Just the respect that you saw from all the other riders too, just, from Gagne to Cam Peterson to all of them, congratulating Beaubier there on the walk to winner's circle.
A good run from P.J. Jacobson. In 5th place was Cameron Peterson. Matthew Skultz in 6th. Tony Elias was 7th. Corey Alexander in 8th, and his full season on a Superbike for Tytlers as well. Ashton Yates on the Scheibe BMW in 9th place. Hayden Gillum in 10th. David Anthony, Benjamin Smith, Danilo Lewis, Gabriel Da Silva, and Max Flinders. Got to be your top 15. And, of course, that's where we pay points to. As now, basically what happens is the race gets called. MotoAmerica, AMA-FIM make the decision, and then they have to go to the riders and tell them. So everybody's now filling victory lane. Oh, JP.
Man. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so
and
here's
that was the reason right there.
Yeah, you can see top part of your screen. That's the what we call the kitty litter, the oil dry, and you can see it goes all the way back. This is counter race distance they're going now. So looking at our screens, the car that's down the exit of the corner is the direction we race in. So those trucks are cleaning it up.
Yeah, that's so obviously, you know, again, that's a pretty fortunate situation for Zach that he wasn't leaned over, and obviously there was fluid coming out of that motorcycle well before we actually saw the, you know, kind of explosion on the front straight.
All right, let's get down to Hannah. Hannah?
Greg, as you mentioned, 56 career victories on the Superbike for Cameron Beaubier, 11 of which have been right here at Road America. Cam, a bit of a misstep on that opening lap. Take us through what happened.
Yeah, I got a really good start, got a good jump. Going into turn 1, I outbroke myself just a little bit, trying to lead. And then Heron got up the inside of me, and yeah, I was on the outside, and I basically just ran out of track going into turn 2, and it's really slick off the racing line. On the racing line, there's a lot of grip, but off the line, it's pretty sketchy. Then I just put my head down and was able to make some good passes, and I really just worked myself into a rhythm, and my Tyler's BMW was incredible today. Like it was so much fun just being able to ride through some of those guys, and yeah, hunted down PJ and Josh were riding awesome, and felt like I had a little pace today, so I just kept my head down and kept pushing, and yeah, like I said, hats off to the Tytlers Racing BMW guys, and Alpha, Dunlop, Alpine Stars, Bell for keeping me safe, the man above, and it's just, yeah, special day. Yeah, it's a bummer it got red flagged. It would have been really nice to ride that one home, but you know, a win's a win. So massive thank you to all the fans that come out. It's amazing just riding around this track, and I've never seen it this packed. So really incredible, and yeah, got some work to do, and yeah, come back swinging tomorrow.
We've got 3 world-level riders on our podium riding in the company of them. What was your biggest takeaway that will hopefully help you replicate this result tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say plain and simple, the Superbike field is just stacked this year. There's been many people on the, or many guys on the, every podium every day is almost different sometimes. So it's pretty impressive, the level of Superbike racing right now in America, and yeah, so got to keep our head down.
Congratulations, Cameron Beaubier, today's race winner.
I mean, what can you say? You know, let's take a look, Jay, what happened here on this first lap.
He just gets out there almost to the white line as Heron made a good pass there going into turn 3. And Cam just didn't feel the confidence to just throw that bike in there, and that's what champions do. They don't do silly mistakes, and he's going to battle back through this field, and finally he's going to draft back past Josh to head down into turn 5 and kind of take that position back, and this, you know, he's still running 209 at this stage, so he was able to kind of get away and go from there. Hannah?
PJ Jacobson in second place today. The Tytlers BMW Cycle Racing take the 1-2 on the podium. Take us through your race out there with your teammate.
Yeah, you know, it was a pretty good race and stuff. I got a decent launch and everything. I was sitting behind like Josh and stuff, but I was just struggling to pass him because I was just having some brake issues. So yeah, I just, you know, Cam came past and then got past like both of us pretty much right away. So then I saw him going away and knew that I had to get past Josh. And yeah, I kind of made a pass in the chicane, and you know, I was having brake problems anyway, so I kind of just hoped and stood on the rear brake. So kind of apologized to him for running him off the track, but or in the chicane. But yeah, I guess it's racing and stuff, and we'll just focus on the next race tomorrow and fix some of the problems we had, so we can start to not let Cam get away.
How does it feel to be back up here on the podium in the front of the field? I know we said, you talked about this earlier with me in a wet race scenario, but to do it in the dry, what is that like for you?
Yeah, it's really good. You know, I think it's like my first dry Superbike podium where I was somewhat like close, you know. So it's pretty good. You know, Scotty and Phil they've been doing and Grant have been doing a great job. So, thanks to my side of the team, and thanks the whole Tyler Cycle racing team, Michael Kiley, and we're in their home turf here. So it's pretty good to go 1-2 at the Road America.
What's it going to take to improve upon this position and stand on the top step tomorrow?
Yeah, once I got past Josh there, I was trying to put my head down and see if I could maybe reel Cam back in, but he's super fast and stuff, so I doubt that. But I felt pretty good, after I got by, and we'll just try to do some stuff tonight and see if we can, all three have a race again tomorrow to the end.
Congrats, PJ Jacobson, on a second-place finish. Heading over to our third-place finisher, Josh Herron led quite a few of those laps. Josh, take us through that incident when you and PJ kind of got together there. It seemed like you were really frustrated.
Oh, I was just already having a tough race. We had some stuff going on, and he just came in for the pass, and I wasn't expecting it right there and had to run wide. So just a frustrating race altogether. I know that we had the pace. We just, like I said, maybe made a wrong decision with some stuff in the race, and it cost us at least being able to fight for the win, I think. So. I'm really happy about how the bike felt before that happened, and just looking forward to tomorrow.
I know you said you got a lot of laps on those tires, but for those at home who maybe don't understand what it's like to be on these big fast bikes on this new surface, can you describe it to us?
It's been great. The surface is probably the best track surface that we have in the country right now. So I'm super happy to be out here riding on it, and pumped to be seeing a bunch of fans out there watching us. It's a bummer that we didn't get a full-length race right there, but unfortunately I wouldn't have been up at the front anyways. So I'm a little relieved that we got it cut short. I'm just looking forward to the morning warm-up so we can try the change that we need to make, because we know what we need to do, and try to fight tomorrow, and hopefully give these guys the race that they deserve.
If all things in a perfect world, those changes go to plan for tomorrow's race, how's that going to shake out?
Oh, it should be good. We gotta make sure we carry a lot of roll speed through these corners and keep up with these guys on the straightaways. But we definitely have the bike right now, and these guys are riding really good, but I don't think it's out of our reach. I think we just need to put our heads down, make the right call tomorrow, and I think we should have a good race.
Josh Herron rounding out your Medallia Superbike podium, guys.
One of the biggest things too, Jay, is when you look at it, what Josh just showed us too is that first lap pace that we've seen from Gagne, we've seen from Beaubier years ago, we saw from Josh Hayes, that we saw from Matt Miladin, right?
Yep.
And so that mentality shift too as well is going to play in the favor. If they can figure out that front end of that motorcycle and they let him get away like he did the first couple laps, that could be pretty dangerous.
And that could be something as simple as a compound change for just a different front tire. That's what he's talking about there. That's what I'm speculating that he's thinking about anyway. He's going to go back with the team. They've already probably discussed that. But Herron had the pace, right off the bat, and he was able to get away. He was able to run competitive fast times. It's just incredible though, Greg, if you start to lose that front, or you start to lose that front feel, it makes it really hard to tip in. And when you're on a new surface where they're already trying to find the limits of what the surface is providing you as it is, if you start feeling that thing move then, when you've had nothing but grip all weekend, it's definitely going to ding his confidence. He'll come back swinging tomorrow.
Look at those three racers getting ready to get on the podium. We're going to step away. We're going to have more from Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin in a minute.
Well, the podium celebrations continue here for the Medallia Superbike. First of the doubleheader races on this weekend at America's National Park of Speed at Road America. There comes Cam Beaubier, extends his record of most wins in Superbike ever here at Road America, out now to 11. An absolutely great run. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about, but first, just want to let everybody know we just got word that MotoAmerica Race Control believes we will be on time for the start of the next race, which is the first race for Mission King of the Baggers. So that race will be on time. It's a ways away, but it will be on time. And that leads to another thing. I've talked at length here about just how amazing this facility is. The track itself, everything about it, Roger. One thing I haven't really touched on that we saw in full operation here as soon as Zach Butler had that engine explode was this place has the best track EV crew in the business. They were on, that kitty litter was down. I mean, we looked away, watched the finish, and talked, and then we look, and look at that. I mean, it's almost cleaned up already. This group here sets the standard.
And they, like you said, we looked away and we looked back, and they already have it starting from turn 13 to almost all the way up to the coming up the hill for the start-finish line in a blink of an eye. So that's great. Everything they do, man. We talk a lot this week about the track, you know, the new pavement job and how everybody loves the new pavement, but we also kind of forget about all the changes they've made throughout the years to make it safer.
Yeah.
You know, all the walls that they've moved back and, you know, bridges and different things, making it safe for racing, and then also the facility. I mean, it's so different than what it used to be, and it's just great to see that commitment from Road America. And, you know, everybody loves coming to Road America for many reasons. The track, for one, the facility, everything. And, you know, they did a great job making this place safer for racing. They've extended curbs, and they've did just about everything we've asked, and put in chicanes, and it's just great to see them continue to make this place better. And they are on top of it, like you said.
Yeah, they are. They really have set the standard here. The other thing I just want to touch on with Josh Herrin, we talked about it during a break earlier, that Josh Herrin's speed, that bike moves a lot when he's on it compared to, in particular, those BMWs. And we don't know what the problem was that Josh came across. You could speculate far better than I, obviously. But I wonder is all that movement, does that just, you know, use the tires up a little bit quicker, and is that what happens? Because it looks like he just works it so hard.
Just speculating, it kind of looked like the front end, you know. That's just speculating. Just look like that's kind of like what he's pointing. But I think for him, he's kind of it's kind of his riding style. He's always kind of, you can tell he's riding it really hard, and I think it's just the characteristics of the Ducati that he's trying to figure out. It's something different. I think he's riding the wheels off of it and trying to stay at the front, and that's what happens when you're riding a bike at the limit. And I think it'll get smoother as the year goes on.
Yeah, he gives it everything, no question about that. And we have one more time going to send it back to Greg White and Jason Pridmore to wrap up Superbike coverage here at Road America.
Medallia Superbike coverage is brought to you by Medallia, the pioneer in customer and employee experience. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Geico Motorcycle. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be.
Welcome back. Cameron Beaubier on the top step of the podium as a freshly minted father. Holds up that #1 plate. But more stories going on, and Hannah is busy. What do you got down there, Hannah?
Greg, it's been a pretty tough weekend for the Fresh and Lean Progressive team, Cam Peterson included. You know, you got some good laps in this morning and you were able to finish this race, but take us through what's been going on with the bike.
Yeah, been a rough start to the weekend, but, you know, luckily we were able to line up for the race. And honestly, I'm so bummed for Jake. That guy doesn't deserve that. But, yeah, was able to spin some laps, and I was just lost in the beginning of the race. You know, missed my brake markers and kind of lost that gap to those guys that I really needed to follow. But I got faster and faster as the race went on and kind of got into my groove. So I'm excited for tomorrow. We actually know what we need to work on now, so should be a good one tomorrow.
Some valuable knowledge gathered by the Fresh and Lean Progressive team, thanks to Cam Peterson. One more guy I want to talk to real quickly. Michael Kiley, the race team owner of Tytler Cycle BMW Racing. Your riders went 1-2 here at your home track. How does that feel?
Feels great, because the weekend started with, hey guys, I don't want to put pressure on you, but my wife is going to be here. And they produced a 1 and 2. So now she's got to come to every one of these.
So she's definitely a team's good luck charm. You know, coming into the paddock and having a full-blown Superbike program your first year, you've had some great success. Second season, you're already getting wins. What does it mean to you to be able to provide a platform for these young racers to be so successful?
Oh, it actually feels fantastic. I mean, this is a great sport. MotoAmerica does a fantastic job with it. Anything that we can do to expand it, bring a bigger audience, and bring more people into it is great for everybody. So, yeah, I feel blessed.
What is it that just made you so passionate about being able to support a team in our series? How did this whole idea come about in the first place?
My dad rode. We grew up with a garage full of motorcycles. Most of my background has been in the dirt, but those years are behind me. I tell my wife. And So it's really nice to be a part of this program. Dave Weaver, the guys that are running this program, they're the best. I mean, they've taken boxes of parts and put us on the podium with them. I didn't do that. They do that. That crew is the best.
Well, they definitely have a good support system in you. Thank you so much for your time and for your support in the MotoAmerica Race Series.
I appreciate it. All righty.
Guys.
All right, and of course, Tytler Cycles, Jason, just an hour north of here on the south side of Green Bay. So this is indeed their home territory. And to go 1-2 is incredible. More coming at you from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Coming up next is our mission.
All right, here we are continuing to ease our way toward the baggers, and they are out now on a bit of a warm-up lap, a sighting lap, if you will, and looking forward to that one coming up here. Interesting that Tytler's team, yeah, it's in just south of Green Bay. That sounds like it's the De Pere area, and I lived there for a couple of years, so understand the passion that they have for sure here as we are watching the baggers coming around. And this is a whole different type of ball game here for these bikes if you're not familiar with them. They put on a great show, some great talent behind the bars on these things, and they give this pavement a whole different kind of test, don't they, Roger?
Oh yeah, for sure. And you can just tell also how much these guys improve each year. And you know, this bagger challenge this morning was such an exciting race, and I'm looking forward to this. And you know what's great about this King of the Baggers race today is being in Harley's backyard, racing against Indian, and you know, watching all those guys that battle. And it's been really cool to see those two teams. Even like the Vincent Hines Harley team and then the Roland Sands Indian team. It's all of them, you know, battling back and forth. It's just great to see how they've elevated each other.
Yeah, and I mean, it is fierce. The rivalry is about as fierce as it gets, and as a result, the show that they put on out there is absolutely fabulous. And we got a little taste of that a bit earlier because we have this thing called the Baggers Challenge, the Mission King of the Baggers Challenge. It's a 2-lap race. And it was Bobby Fong actually had the best qualifying time, but he had an issue and crashed in the qualifying session. And so James Rispoli and Hayden Gillum were right there, but Tyler O'Hare wasted no time trying to get to the front. And it was a pretty interesting duel right from the off.
Yeah, and you could see that James Rispoli here took the lead in turn 8 and was actually trying. You could tell each rider that got in the lead was trying to make a break, but you see Tyler O'Hare in the draft on the last lap making the pass.
And that put him in the lead, and he would not relinquish it. And in the background, of course, the 33 of Kyle Wyman, the 79 of Hayden Gillum, both on the Harleys, one from the HD Scream and Eagle factory team, the other the Vance and Hines program. But Tyler coming through, Tyler O'Hare with the win on the Indian Motorcycles Progressive and Mission Foods bike over James Rispoli for Vance and Hines and the Mission Harley Davidson. It was just 2 laps, $5,000 winner takes all. So Tyler's treating the team to a nice dinner tonight for sure. But I'll tell you what, you know, that's just sort of a foreshadowing of what we're going to see here. And on this long track, it's a 5-lap race. So once again, you don't have a lot of time if you have a little issue to get back up through this pack.
And we also seen in that race how many guys was in that pack, and we didn't have Bobby Fong. He crashed in the second qualifier before the challenge race. Also, Jeremy McWilliams had an issue in between the second qualifier. So there's 2 guys right there that's going to be able to throw their name in the hat. And then, you know, you can see Travis Wyman and some other guys down the list there. It's going to be more than just those 4 guys we've seen in the Mission Challenge race.
Yeah, and I think it's going to keep them nice and bunched up, and it is going to be one entertaining race that's coming up, scheduled for a start right around 4:05. So we're looking forward to that one coming at you. But as we are getting ready here, watching them out, really important for Bobby here to get out and run a couple of laps and learn a little bit about it, and it looks like he's been able to do that. But we have one more time to head over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore to wrap things up here in our coverage of Medallia Superbikes. Guys?
We're back to Road America here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Medallia Superbike Race 1 is done and dusted, and Very interesting race with the situation, Jason, because what happens here on a 4-mile-long race course is you have a certain amount of time that you have practicing qualifiers, but because the laps are so long, you don't get as many laps per se. The distance may be the same, but you don't get as many laps. So it was really important for every single rider in this field to get information, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and we had a shortened race. As you'll see here in the highlights, and right off the bat, Herrin did what he needed to do, and Beaubier got a good start, went off to the turn 1. Herrin was able to duck it back up underneath him, and then down the run down to turn 3, Herrin goes inside Cam. Cam doesn't feel comfortable turning it in. He's going to drop him back to 8th or 9th. Herrin had his way. Gagne's there, and you can see Cam's teammate PJ Jacobson is there as well. Escalante putting on a really nice run on the M4 bike. Skoltz gets into turn 1 a little hot here, and then you can see PJ Jacobson's Escalante turns it back up underneath him. But out in front, right now, Herrin's gone, and Cam Beaubier started to make the charge to the front as he goes by Escalante down the front straightaway. He'd catch Gagne. He'd go by Gagne down the front straightaway a lap later. And it wasn't that long after that we would see the demise, unfortunately, of Gagne as PJ Jacobson and Herrin stayed up at the front. Now they had another challenger in the 6 of Beaubier. He goes up underneath PJ Jacobson, and then he would soon do that down the back straightaway here as they went into turn 5. Beaubier takes the lead. Really was never headed at that point. Herrin was having some issues with the front of the bike, and you heard PJ talking about some issues. I think this is the bigger story, if I'm being honest with you. I think a lot of people expected Cam to come in here and win. To see Gagne get no points is a bummer. This is what ultimately stopped our race. Zach Butler blew up his R1 coming onto that front straightaway. Red flag the race, shortened race, but like you say, Greg, they didn't get all the data they needed.
Didn't get it all, but I think the most important thing, too, is to this point, how did the tires hold up? And indeed, this is the situation with Beaubier's win. He's got 99 points, so the lead changes. Gagne is now down 4. Matthew Skoltz back there with Josh Herrin, Richie Escalante, and PJ Jacobson starting to climb up the ladder as well, Jason. So very interesting bit, I think, here from Road America and how these teams will react tonight. We're going to do it again one more time. There'll be Medallia Superbike Round 3, race number 2. Coming at you from Road America. You don't want to miss it. With all the adjustments made, we expect a massive group of people racing all the way to the checkered flag. Well, for Antelope and Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. For our entire crew, thanks for checking out Medallia Superbike race action from Road America. See you tomorrow.
The Medallia Superbike in 3rd, Josh Herrin in 2nd.